Hello, I'm Dave and this is Logan, out once again for a walk in the countryside. Thanks for joining us. Now today we're at the little village of Littlebredy in Dorset, although I believe some locals pronounce it Littlebredy, and it's located about 7 miles west of Dorchester. We're going to be walking a roughly 6.5 mile circular route. We'll start off with a wander through the village and there's lots to explore, including an amazing waterfall, before heading south to an ancient barrow called the Grey Mare and her Colts. And then we'll head west past the Kingston Russell Stone Circle. We'll join the Macmillan Way past Kingston Russell House, pass through the village of Bredy, and then back to our starting point. We might do a little detour to see one of the longest Neolithic barrows in England. Now I'm filming at the end of July. The sun is out, there's a fair bit of blue sky. It might cloud over a little bit later on, but it should be perfect conditions for walking. Do come along with us. Well, we'll start off with a little wander through the village and we'll begin with a little sort of bus shelter that's just behind me here. And what a cute shelter it is too. It's sort of octagonal shaped, and it was given to the village by Philip and Margaret Williams on their silver wedding anniversary in 1933. Now just through there on the right you can see a wall, and behind that is a walled garden, which we're not going to be seeing today. It was used to produce vegetables and fruit for the estate and villagers in the 19th century. These days it's there's a not-for-profit community venture based there, a 5-acre site with a 1-acre walled garden. Oh, what a gorgeous cottage, thatched, ivy growing up the wall on one side and roses in the front. Beautiful. Now I believe this is the River Bride, which is 6.5 miles long. It rises beneath the lake that we'll be seeing shortly, and it flows west and into the sea at Burton Bradstock. Well, this delightful church is the Church of St Michael's and All Angels. The chancel was built in the 13th century and the south tower added in the 14th century. But the church was largely rebuilt around about 1840, 1850, when the chancel was restored, although some of the parts of the original 13th century structure remain. The nave was extended and north and south aisles added, as well as a spire added to the tower. It also has a vestry. I think it's got 6 bells. Okay, let's have a little peep inside. There's the font just to the left as we go through the door. And then, gosh, look at that magnificent stained glass window at the end of the nave. On either side you've got the pipes of the organ. It's quite a big organ for a church this size. And just coming through the nave, again some terrific stained glass windows either side. And there's the pulpit on the left there. And then through into the chancel. And another splendid stained glass window above the altar there. Oh wow, look at this. Beautiful waterfall with the water coming out from the lake. Of course the source of the River Bride is basically under the lake, I believe. Well, what a quite idyllic scene. Just above the waterfall you've got this beautiful lake. So the village itself is very small. It's basically an estate or model village with a lot of the houses built or rebuilt for the estate workers in the 19th century, and it lies at the head of the Bride Valley in the shadow of a possible Iron Age hill fort to the south. And indeed, just at the sort of southern end of the lake, if we look up, you can see what I think are the remnants of that. And the manor of Littlebredy is recorded in the Domesday Book as Littlebredy, and it derives from Brydian, which is Celtic for gushing or boiling stream. And indeed, the stream or river falls some 200 feet in the first 3 miles. The manor was held by the Abbey of Cerne from about 987 AD up until the dissolution of monasteries in the 16th century, when the land was sold, eventually coming into the possession of Robert Freake, and then his son-in-law Sir Robert Mellor, who went on to build the first manor house, which is here called Bridehead House. And in the late 18th century, it came into possession of Robert Williams, and in the 19th century, the family extended the house. They dammed up the river here to create the lake and restored the church. I think the Williams family still own it all today. Well, right at the eastern end of the village is the cricket ground, and what a beautiful setting it is. And I read that cricket's been played here since 1820, and these days the Bride Vale Cricket Club play here. And there is Bridehead House, largely rebuilt in 1831, incorporating the remains of the original 16th century manor house that was there, and it was extended in the 1850s. And I believe it was a filming location for the ITV series Broadchurch. There were 3 series between 2013 and 2017, when it appeared as Axhampton House, I think. Well, what a beautiful little village. Okay, we're now going to kick on and head out into the countryside, initially heading southwards. It looks like we've got an uphill bit. Well, just as I'm making my way uphill, over to my right, there's the old Warren earthwork, which was possibly originally an Iron Age hill fort and reused by the Saxons, but never actually completed. Another little pit stop, because I just about make out the very top of the Hardy Monument over to the east there, just peeping up above the top of that ridge. Well, we've still got a little bit more of an uphill bit to do, but this little bit of woodland here on my left is called Farm Wood, and we just go around the outskirts of that. That's a much better view of the Hardy Monument now. I can see it in all its glory. I tell you, it's still fairly windy. Look at the top of the crops blowing to and fro. Well, this is as far south as we're going on the route. From here we now start heading westwards. And as you can probably see behind me, there's a stone to look at. Now, as far as I can see, it doesn't appear on a current Ordnance Survey map, but it does appear as a stone on a 1902 map. And well, this might be an ancient stone, one of a few stones on a processional way to our next destination. Well, there's a handy little sign, shows us where we're going next. The Grey Mare and her Colts in 7 minutes' time, and the Kingston Russell Stone Circle in 20 minutes. Another handy little sign. Now we will be carrying on to the Kingston Russell Stone Circle, but we're going to do a little detour along this permissive path to see the Grey Mare and her Colts. Oh wow, look at these. Now this is the Grey Mare and her Colts. It's a long chambered barrow built, well, the mid-Neolithic period between 3400 BC and 2400 BC. The tomb was excavated in the 19th century and some human bones found. And the burial monument today is about 24 metres long, a metre high, and tapering in width from about 30 metres wide at the southeast end to 8 metres wide at the northwest end. And the remains of the burial chamber are at the southeast end of the mound. And also at the southeast end of the mound are 4 sarsen stones, and the massive capstone of the burial chamber has now fallen. And there's quite a few small upright stones on the perimeter of the mound, and those are remnants of the barrow's retaining curb. Well, weren't the Grey Mare and her Colts impressive? But we've got some more stones to see. Let's kick on. And this is our next lot of stones, the Kingston Russell Stone Circle, which is well, either from the Neolithic or Bronze Age. There's something like 18 stones that have fallen and are flat in an oval about 90 foot by 60 foot. Some were possibly still standing in the 19th century, although some experts suggest they may never have been upright in the first place. None are actually shaped, and the tallest may have been on the northern side, and they reckon all of them originated from the nearby Valley of the Stones to the east. And it's possibly on an ancient route that connects the Grey Mare and her Colts with the nearby Hampton Stone Circle and the Hellstone Barrow. Of course, the Hellstone Barrow we've seen before when Logan and I did our video of a walk at the Hardy Monument. As to why it's here, well, the experts aren't sure. Might have been for a religious purpose, or for having marriages, or even for making important decisions. Well, having left the Kingston Russell Stone Circle, we're now heading northwards, and the views looking north really are quite stunning. And then just over to the right there's the Tennant's Hill Circle, which dates to the Bronze Age. It's basically about 38 metres in diameter, with the entrance on the eastern side. And there's a bank and external ditch. And just to the south of it is a medieval dew pond. I think it's called Pit Dwelling on an old map. And there's an earthen bank that connects that with the entrance of the hill circle. Looks like we're now on part of the Macmillan Way, which is a 290-mile long-distance path that goes from Boston in Lincolnshire to Abbotsbury, not far from here on the coast. Well, a little update on the route. This is looking back to the south, so you can see this sort of farm track that we've come down. We're still on the Macmillan Way, heading north, and we're going to keep Lower Kingston Farm on our left. Well, we've just bypassed Lower Kingston Russell Farm, and just passing by this gorgeous lake. A few swans out there. Looks so peaceful, doesn't it? Well, this section of the walk looks as though we're going through somebody's private house, but it is in fact a restricted byway that goes right past it. But isn't it a pretty building? Oh, this is one of those situations when you feel you shouldn't really be here. It really does feel as though you're in someone's private garden, but no, the public footpath definitely goes through. And there's the gate ahead. Whoa. Well, we've had a challenging part of the walk along a footpath that was quite well overgrown, but not impassable. We passed Kingston Russell House, but we couldn't actually see it. And we're at a place, well, the entrance now of Belmont House. And here we take a footpath sort of in a northwesterly direction to Long Bredy. Well, I'll tell you, the route that we've just come across has been terrific. Some of the views on top of a ridge looking to the south were incredible. Let me just show you. Well, we've now made it to the little settlement of Long Bredy. We're not going to see too much of it because we bypassed most of it when we were going along a ridge, but we've got a good view of it. It was established in the 9th century and it's recorded in the Domesday Book as Langbridge and referred to as Long Bredy in the 15th century. It was owned by the Cerne Abbey from the late 10th century right up until the dissolution of monasteries, when it was sold by the Crown to Hugh Sidway, who parcelled up the land in smaller lots and in turn sold them on. At the top end of the village, I think this is the old school. Oh yes, there's a plaque outside that tells us it was the old National School with a date of 1855. And next to the schoolmaster's house. Right, gorgeous with the white roses climbing on the wall in front. And right at the northern end of the village is the church of St. Peter. Now the first record of a church here was in 987 AD when it was owned by Cerne Abbey. There's no trace of that building now. The chancel here, well, originates to the 13th century. It was restored in 1841, and there's a nave, a north transept, a tower and a south porch, all of which date from the 15th century. A south transept was added in the 18th century, and in the 19th century a south aisle and vestry was added. There was a big restoration in 1863 when the south transept was altered. But Arthur Mee, in his King's England Dorset book of 1939, described the church as, and I quote, "like a captain defying the pagan chieftains whose graves are on the hills above." We'll have a very quick peep inside. And there's a very impressive font just on the left there. And then quite a few stained glass windows in the nave. There's a wooden pulpit on the left, and then through to the chancel. Magnificent stained glass window, as of course you often get, directly above the altar. I love these stained glass windows on the sides of the chancel with the blue edging on the side. And there's the organ just to the sort of southern side of the church. Now over to my right is Long Barrow Hill, and at the top of it there is indeed a long barrow and a trig point, but both of them are actually on private land. The barrow itself is one of the longest in the country, I believe, and it dates to the middle Neolithic period, and I think it's something like 195 metres long and 20 metres wide, with parallel ditches each side. And it would also mean a little bit more climbing. I mean, we've got a fair bit of climbing to do anyway on the homeward journey. Looks like we're back on the Macmillan Way. So we're now heading eastwards. Again, more crops gently blowing in the wind in front of me here. Well, we've come off, I think it's called Watcombe Down, and this is our final little part of the walk, a footpath that takes us back to Littlebredy. I can just see the outskirts there, and back to our car. Well folks, we've come to the end of our walk. We thought we'd do the end scene here by this gorgeous lake and quite enchanting waterfall. We hope you enjoyed the walk today. If you did, please do give us a thumbs up and a like, and do leave a comment, and do check out our Facebook page, Dave's Countryside Walks. So until we meet again, thanks for watching, and cheerio. Good boy.